All right, guys, what's up? What's up? Good morning. Welcome back. Welcome back to another live session. Remember, as you're tuning in on YouTube, to hit that thumbs up if you're a new viewer. Consider subscribing as you watch throughout the video. So, we're checking in here for the pre market session. We got 10 minutes to the opening bell. And I just want to come here and double check the watch list here and see what we got. So Lucy's an obvious candidate, right? Up 44%, around 170. There's 41 million shares of volume. It does look good. It's in second place. VTYX, which I want to check this one out. Okay, looks like it's pulling back off of highs all the way up there at 1766 or so. So it looks like VTYX, again, similar to yesterday, was quite difficult to determine which stock would be strong outright out of the open. Maybe want to have at least on one of the charts to the side, right? Even though it's not like Lucy, which is a little closer to the pre-market highs. GLUE, just kind of giving them a quick look here. This one a little bit more expensive at $22, but up 43% with 6 million shares of volume. So, also looks interesting here. We've been holding up this support around 2240, and if we're able to see a good red to green here, this could curl right up over this midpoint around 2377, and could potentially get to the pre-market highs. It's a little bit more pricey, but as long as it's below $50, really, I'd say, right? Especially if we're trading it up to a level. But it looks interesting. It could be one to keep an eye on as well. In third place here on the scanner. Now for some cheaper stocks, we got AMOD and NCPL. Jeez. AMOD I saw when I was doing the recap, I think. So this one must have started in after hours. Or at least when I was leaving out. Yeah. This could be the penny stock of the day, right? It's hard to say right now, of course, but it definitely looks like it has potential. We had 80 cents high. We pulled back a little bit off those levels. And, it's nothing for a stock like this to curl up a little bit, right? So I'm going to get this one typed in and have it ready to go just in case it happens to be the stock of the day. But for me, that's the key. Whether it's a stock below $1 or above 20, I want to just stick to the stock of the day, right? The best stock, the strongest stock, the one that's giving the strongest front side move, the first leg up, consolidation, and hopefully a second leg up. That way we can just get in and out quick and clean. We're going to look forward to being aggressive if we can determine that hot stock early. And then from there, we're going to look to shut it down, right? Because these days we're not really seeing the momentum go till 12, 1, 2 p.m. through and through. It's happening from time to time, but not every day consistently like how we used to see it. So just want to keep that in mind. We got to be very careful of backside. So with 6 minutes to go, I'm just going to quickly start up my screen recording here and then remind myself of a couple of key things. Yesterday we did a pretty poor job into the open, going for a bit of a scalp trade on the stock that was just selling off. Today we cannot afford any such nonsense mistakes. So it's a good opportunity here today to do better, right? Just the mistakes we made yesterday, there's a 0% chance, right? Am I saying this right? There's a 0% chance we make those mistakes again here today. That's the key with trading. And, so 100% we're going to do exactly what we need to do, which is the right thing, which is to be disciplined. So looking back at the notes, again, at the open coming up to 9 a.m., I want to be very attentive, be very locked in on the stock that I think is the strongest stock. So I think for me that will be Lucy. I'm gonna pull up some of the other ones just to have them on charts. I'm gonna have AMOD. By the way, I gotta come out of dual screen here. Let me do that right now because I will forget. All right, so we had a quick look at the scanners here. And now coming back to full screen. Lucy, AMOD. Again, you know, it's hard to say, but you know, VTYX, GLUE, you know, there could be something there. NCPL. Let me just take a quick look here. This one is at 80 cents, and like, okay. Also looking, it looks a little similar to AMOD, right? Sold off, started in pre-market, sold off a little bit here started off in after hours rather, sold off a little in pre-market, but it's still in range, right? We had highs of 98, it's 83, which isn't terrible by any means. So, you know, we got a couple different stocks that could end up being the stock. Okay, let's just drag this here. This is in no particular order, just a heads up. Just kind of like the list of stocks that we got. Don't forget, if you're tuning in on YouTube, hit the thumbs up. We do appreciate it. All right. So I'll be watching Lucy ACI from yesterday. Let me just see here, quick look. See, this could also be in the mix here, right? I really want to get the first 5 minutes out of the stock, but you know what? We'll have to see. We'll have to see which one ends up being the one. ACI also from yesterday, you know, making a push here over the pre-market highs. There's a 2-minute warning. But I think, again, I'm going to just lock in on Lucy. We got highs here at 180. We've been holding up and steadily pushing up. And so I'd love to see if it can get over $2 and, you know, maybe a move to 250 as we continue into the open. Let's see it on the 1-day chart here. The 200 EMA at 245. This stock has moved up so many times over the years, you know, so honestly, once it does get to its high point and we get to the backside, you know, that's where we have to leave it alone, right? It's one of these stocks that's like over the years moved up so many different times. So looking forward to a good day. You know, as we stand here, there's nothing stopping us, right? This is something that we all have to remind ourselves of every day. Nothing is stopping us from executing. Nothing is stopping us from being disciplined. So let's just do all the necessary things, right? In the moment, let's be courageous. Let's take all the good trades. Let's put the size behind the trades. Let's do everything that we need to do to ensure success, to have a good day here. So, that being said, with about 30 seconds to go, keeping an eye on Lucy and some of the others. So we're at 180 here for Lucy. There's a high of 89. Wow, this is my first time seeing a delayed fill on this platform. You guys know in Thinkorswim when you buy and then like nothing happens, like the order's floating? Hmm. First time for everything, I suppose. We'd love to see over 90. I kind of just summed it up as me not being on the order entry, but so something to be careful of here in the future moving forward. Will we see over 89 here? Can we hold 90 and continue over 2? Not quite. It doesn't seem as strong as some of the other ones that'll give a big move in the first 2-3 minutes, but you know, from 80 to 90. There are some others being mentioned. I see SKYQ in the chat. Got to be careful of the Christmas tree here. Does it have what it takes? Our 5-minute candlestick is struggling a little bit here. Well, it's not really struggling. Our 1-minute candlestick is what's struggling. Time. There's not really a lot of time left in the candlestick. I'm gonna start looking at some other opportunities. How are the penny stocks doing? This one doesn't really seem like it's, going. Again, the first 5 minutes in comparison to some of the other stocks yesterday, the day before, we've kind of only had a 10-cent move here in 5 minutes. So checking out some of the others. VTYX, how are we doing? Not really much. SKYQ, I have to check that one out. So GLUE is up a little bit. Let's see. ACI. SKYQ. Not much on that one either. So everything seems a little slower. Nothing really looking good here yet. LUCY had a good start in the first candle or two, but yeah, I'm seeing the halt is at 1275 for MNTS. Maybe maybe it could. Let's see. It's now at 1306 the halt. Watching MNTS here. And VVE also hitting scans. And they're both looking fairly decent. Not really getting a pullback for MNTS still. And the other one looks like it might halt up here. Halt level extended. NVVE. I think I'm gonna watch NVVE. There's just a little bit more volume on it. It is on my other screen though for now. I'm gonna pull it up in a sec. And shit. Another loss there on my starter position. Let's pull it up here. And we're hoping we're not gonna see a backside here already. Like if it's selling off all the way, then we're kind of, there's no opportunities left. So watching and waiting. Is the other one halted? Oh no, it's a different stock. Fair pullback. The volume's a little high though. Doesn't look like I got filled. I didn't get filled down there at the lows, like adding on the move up. So, kind of just here watching. Oh, jeez, Louise. Well, looks like that's all this one wrote. Bro, we cannot get a front side to save our lives. Like, is there a stock that we can catch going up? Our pullbacks are not holding up. How did the other one do? MNTS? Was it MNTS? That felt like the first good trade of the day, too. There is nothing looking good. Does it have what it takes to curl back up again? Lucy curled back up. The 5 minute candlestick to make the new high was at 80 on this one. The setup on Lucy, I'm watching it, but it doesn't look ideal here. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait up for that one a little bit longer. NVVE, our higher volumes have been on red candlesticks. What I'm trying to do is to catch a stock that's going up, right? I mean, it seems like we're only getting like 2 or 3 candlesticks of a push, and then it's like just our red to greens are not doing much, or like back down, no retest of the highs or close to it. Lucy's back down. I'll watch the red to green on this one. VWAP was 31 for NVVE. Our 5 minute candlesticks have higher selling pressure, right? Are we coming back up here to just slam back down? All right, AMOD. Is this the one that can save the day here with a nice sweet uptrend? We had a high of 74, currently pulling back slightly. Just waiting patiently for an opportunity here on AMOD. Watching the 5-minute setup here for AMOD. Watching and waiting. Bro, I bought twice, bro. Come on. And we're not holding. Alright, I'm back out. So green to red there on that setup. It's quite the pullback here. I'm not sure why my hotkeys are like so like buggy, it seems. Like I'm hitting the button twice, you know. I'd love to see some immediate instant reaction here. Lucy, I think it's just looking like a slower day. Lucy didn't really hold up at all. And AMOD, it could be an early backside here. Our 5-minute candlestick rejected the good setup. First 5-minute candle to make the new high over the VWAP here. $72 was our breakout level. So, you know, would have loved to see us hold up around that area, plus or minus a cent or two to retest the highs, but it's back down. Only 2 good setups here so far today. Christmas tree. Notice the volume here coming down compared to the volume going up. I'm gonna walk early today because nothing is making any sense. Literally, everything is pulling back into the depths. And VVE, you know, hopefully a stock like this just halts up. We failed at the 40 level last time. This time we got a better looking setup here. 50 is the key level. We also have higher selling volume on this stock on our red candles versus our green candles going up. So something to be careful of. What we need here is a tight pullback, you know, hold tightly and a push through 50. But all of our pullbacks have been like sub VWAP dips. That 3 bar play is like one of the first ones today, which is a good sign here. Hopefully we can make a new high. It's the first pullback to not like just, sell off pretty much. Got to be careful of this failing because we've seen some strong pullbacks come down. So watching with a tight stop here. Another pullback failing. Lovely. We had some more size there too. 45, 53. It's looking like it might come down. 75. If I get stopped out of this trade, I'm definitely out of here. It does seem like the type of stock that like there's some short sellers here. So, hopefully if it does go, it could open up a little bit. It's saying the high of that last candle was 84. There could be a breakout trade. Instant rejection for the 1 minute candle there. All right, I think it's a little too much chop for me, man. For those of you who might be connecting on this one, if you are getting those lower entries and are able to hold for a couple of minutes, I'm getting too much chop here, so I'm going to shut it down. It's a bit of a max loss day here, and then green to red in this account too. Over the 3 trades or 4 trades on that penny stock. Yeah, I thought we might have been able to see a breakout into that new candlestick, but over 74, it's a bit of a double top there in the 1 minute range. Getting cooked today. SIDU. I didn't check out any of those. At least the mighty had something, brother. So there's some people in the chat who are green today versus yesterday, right? And I'd say yesterday there was like way more opportunities versus the action today. The mighty is walking. Danny, small red. John, small green. Yeah, I mean, for people who made something today, I mean, For me, I honestly, there was two solid trades that I took, which were losers. Two pullbacks that came. We got in here, got stopped out. This stock in itself is, I think it was a little tough. We got flushed out here in this setup. There might not be a second leg again. Like will we see $4? If can we push through here for break of four? This first move seems to always be the best move, and if you miss this move, like the continuation is just tough. Can we see this rip to four for the sake of momentum here? Have short sellers cover their positions into the highs? Come on, 85, 90, please. The 5 minute candlestick is also making a new high here. Dash saying he might upgrade his PC. Yes, sometimes if your PC is a little too old, it's a good move. So not quite the break of 70 of 80 there. Yeah, looking back at the chart, this one was definitely tough. AMOD, um, we ended up Christmas treeing here. Just a tough day. We need to see some stronger follow through. NVVE back to 350. I'm pretty much done for the day here. Yeah, NVVE a little bit of a tougher one. AMOD, I'm not even sure how much I was green on this one. I'm kind of curious. But we had 16,000 shares. We did use a little bit more size. The setup looks pretty good. Let's see. Let's see. We had 8,000 shares at 72.98 and then 72.48. So about 72.7, 72.6 average. 72.7. Buy, sell, and then there was a 200 position. The fill coming out actually wasn't that bad. That was pretty decent. 71.06 and 71.02. Considering that we did keep flushing down here over time. So this type of setup is what's tough about this slower market, is that this looks, there's nothing better this could have done in terms of looking good, so once we start to see the pullback, there's no, in fact, I'm already expecting that there's going to be a pullback, right? But not a pullback that's going to go down to the low of day, but a pullback that's going to be able to hold its levels. So 72, where I was buying, it's like if we cut this candle in half, if we or to like pull the screen up a little bit, I'm like buying right into this level here, looking for us to, it's never perfect. We might not bottom there exactly based off of the move up and the previous resistance, but just no follow through there whatsoever for the stronger push. So good red to green off the consolidation and right back down. I don't know what my like the exact gain was here, but this was that trade here. 71, 71, 78, 72, 91 to pretty much this level here, 73. Decent trade. So about 12,000 shares there, and then we sold about 9,000 and then kind of like came out the rest smaller size. We ended up getting all the way to 74 though, so we definitely could have held some more of that position a little longer. The highs on the push was 75 something. And then taking the dip for the retested highs with even bigger size and giving back the small green trade. So that was AMOD. And then NVVE. Lucy, not much on this one to start. Kind of recognized that this wasn't going to be the stock after the first like 3 minutes, because usually we're seeing like a stronger move early. And this one kind of stalled out at 94. You know, only like a 10, 14 cent range. So not much there, but NVVE. Tried with a little bit of size and got smoked a couple times. We lost in our first two trades with our starter position on this pullback here. Buying at 36. Our initial lows were 34, 32. The 1 minute candle attempted to make the new high at 50, but you know, it was a quick pullback and into a new low. So we got stopped out on this candlestick. Let me check. Let's see. Lucy and VVE. Time 40:18. Let's see. Well, our first trade actually came a little higher. 700 shares at 50 and getting stopped out of that one. And then we got stopped out of the other one. So we lost twice here in this like move down. In hindsight, granted that, you know, maybe we were a little too extended indeed, right? This move up here, although a little lighter volume, was pretty aggressive from 268. So I think that's pretty fair. Hence the starter size, which was good, not being in like, you know, too aggressively. So 48, which was over here. So 48, we took a loss buying in this pullback here. Buying above VWAP and looking for the move over 54. We stopped out of this trade with more size. About 1,300 shares in at 36, out at 24 and 23. So that was a good size loss there. That took us from down 200 between the two starter losses to then down 400. And then we took another loss at 08. So 48. Another thing too is like, you know, when you're switching, if you're like looking back at a different stock that, you know, a mod or whatever the other stock was, you can like miss these areas like this where the 1 minute candle does make the new high. But in the moment, it does look so grim, you know, like the 5 minute chart at this time, what's the time here? 48. If we look at the 5 minute chart, the issue here is that we had red candlesticks kind of just towering over what you know, in terms of the volume. We had higher volume in our red candlesticks, which, you know, typically is not a good sign. So we're like, you know what, this thing might more than likely sell off slowly over time. And VVE on the 5 minute chart here. So being that AMOD or, you know, Lucy might have been in a position, it's like, you know, a position to curl up, let's say. It's like, okay, maybe it's worth checking out and not sticking around here too long. But, you know, it ends up fighting its way back up. We do end up getting a higher volume candlestick later in this push here, although it's a bit of a topping wick, but that is at least going to rival the red candlestick volume. It's worth looking at because despite this move being big, typically we'd say this is a bullish engulfing, but because the volume was so low, you know, like it's a bit of a discrepancy, right? You kind of have a lower volume push where there's zero traffic in terms of resistance and the stock goes up, but then, you know, maybe some selling pressure, some short sellers also getting involved. So you have to at least be a little skeptical when the selling volume is so high. But nevertheless, you know, 1008, which was over here. And I kind of, you know, this candlestick, I didn't touch it because I'm like, every time we kind of like get a consolidation, it's breaking down, right? At least for when I showed up to the stock, right? Which was in this area here. We're like getting new lows, like multiple red candles before curl back up. So this 3-bar play working out and us coming so close to the high, I'm like, you know what? Our 5-minute candlestick at this time was pretty bullish. And we're very close to high of day. If we're to see another 3-bar play here, that's going to be pretty good to push us through the level. So I took this dip aggressive, maybe with way too much size. Took this dip aggressively here, looking for the move back up, and stopped out. So so we had a high of 80. The first entry came at 61. That was just 160 shares. Then we tried to add, so this is kind of a bit of a tough trade here. We tried to add at 56. But, with the volume spike that we had in that area, plus me kind of getting in a little higher on the ask, I got filled 64. So that was a bit, but I think that trade is still fine. Like 64 versus 56 is not that huge of a difference, right? So that's at the bottom of this candle coming into the new candlestick. Right there, we only pushed up to 65, and then it retested the low of 56 and 55 area, and I added again there. And stopped out literally at the bottom of this candlestick. So that wasn't good. And we missed the red to green going back up. So, waiting, in hindsight, waiting for the 1-minute candle to make the new high would have been better to do, which I've been trying to do more of, right? It does put you in the predicament of being in a little higher, but, a lot of the times if we're going to be able to see the curl through and through, you can capture the move nicely here. So from 57, we ended up going to 66, 72, and then retesting the highs of 84. The stop here, if it's at the low of the range, is about 14 cents, plus or minus. Versus the average that I had of, I took about a 10-cent loss there too. My average between those orders, let's say, so we had 59. Hold on, let me go back down. We had 61. The 64 order did mess us up just a little bit. Getting in that much higher versus where the low of the candlestick was, but fair enough. And then the added 50, we added twice at 50 and 52. So on that trade as well, maybe a little bit more, space in the orders. But taking that candlestick aggressively because our 5-minute candlestick was very strong at the time and indicating a retest of the highs. So I'd say this trade here, this particular trade, maybe a little too much aggression, just a little too much conviction in seeing a quicker move because of how aggressive we were in the 5-minute at the time. So needed to slow the roll here just a little bit, space out the trades just a little bit more to, especially that second add at 50. That, so we added at 52, the added 50, we could have held off on a little bit, maybe getting like higher 40s, mid 40s, higher 40s, and kind of giving the trade more of a little bit more time with a slightly lower average. So average there, about 50, maybe like 57. Maybe 57, maybe a little lower even, maybe like 56. But we stopped out here, and then there was a nice curl up. So these trades like this you can't afford to miss, right? The 5 minute with 5 minute chart at a time, got to do a better job executing on the pullback to capture the move up, because from 45 to 80 is 40 cents, right? 45 to 84, 40 cents in there. Even if you're capturing 25 cents, 30 cents of the move, you know, it's the trade starts to look pretty good. So we're still seeing opportunities. We're not really seeing a lot of like front side stuff in terms of like uptrend. So if we like move the chart to the side here, remove the green candlesticks to start the day, because it's just a little hit or miss. There's about 4 watch list stocks. It's hard to determine which one will give the uptrend right away to be involved. And even then, it doesn't make it easy to capture those bigger green candles, right? But what we've been seeing is more of this right here. Sideways consolidation, and you got to be able to position yourself in the consolidation very well to be able to see some of the green. If not, the green will slip through the cracks, and you can even end up red here too if you're not executing well enough. Right idea, not the best execution here. Right idea, not the best execution. So here's another red to green here, slowly over time. Off the VWAP, curling up slowly. So people who are still trading, if they're connecting well, they're watching these areas like this and getting back in, looking for the bigger push here. It doesn't seem like we're getting like a second leg, something similar to this to happen here, and break of 450. But again, with this, there's still enough here to make something, right? So a bit of a frustrating day here in terms of the execution in some of the key setups. NVVE and AMOD, the 2 top stocks here. So shutting it down, and I could actually clip this part to be a recap, but I think I'll do a fresh video altogether. But I think it's good to do a review like at the end of the video, and then also like the actual recap itself. Today I did put a little bit more size too, right? In terms of size, we used like, way more size today relative to yesterday and the day before. Our biggest position yesterday on penny stocks, I think 7,000 shares, or 9,000 shares maybe. Today we went up to 16,000, and yesterday, I think might have had, even Monday we might have had a stock at like $5, $8. I think like 600 shares, 700 shares. Today we went up to like 4,000 shares, which was a bit of a jump. But again, very confident in that trade, but a little bit of execution issues, I'd say. Our ads definitely need to be spaced out. From time to time, you will kind of get a higher fill. That's okay. But you want your ads to be spaced out for sure. Coming down. So hopefully this rocket ships here through 450 or let's say 420, 430. And at least it'll be pretty good for momentum. The more strong stocks, the better. The more, like consistent uptrends we'll see. So even if I'm not in, I want to see a stock give a new high. And short sellers, if they're in, aggressively covering into the moon. Big Steve, AO, Alan, and all the others here in the chat. Hope you guys were able to see something. Hope you guys were able to see something. All right, for those of you on YouTube, be sure to hit the thumbs up. If you're a new viewer, consider subscribing to the channel. Red Day recap here today. A bit of a tough one with some more size. If you're now tuning in, you can rewind like the last 10 minutes. We did do a bit of a summary of the day and the top 2-3 stocks that we traded. But shutting it down, and the recap will be today. The recap is going to be out a little earlier, around 1 p.m. market time. But all right, take care, stay safe, stay green.